The sound of glass slamming against the bar echoed to the elegant restaurant like a gunshot. Conversation stopped mid-sentence. The piano player froze, hands hovering over the keys. Every eye turned toward the tall man in a navy blue suit, standing near the center of the room. His wrists shimmered with gold, his smile dripping with arrogance. $100,000, he shouted, waving a black card in the air. To anyone here who can serve me, in Chinese. For a few seconds, no one moved. The room fell into an uncomfortable silence. A few guests exchanged awkward glances. The waiters froze where they stood, unsure whether to laugh or pretend they didn't hear. The man smirked, scanning the room like a king surveying peasants. What? No takers, he said with a mocking laugh. Didn't think so. Guess money can't buy intelligence. His voice carried arrogance, sharp and loud enough for everyone to hear. That's when a quiet voice broke through the tension. I'll take that bet, came from the far corner of the room. Heads turned. There, standing by the last table near the kitchen door, was Marcus, a young black waiter in a slightly wrinkled uniform. He wasn't tall or flashy. His shoes had seen better days. But there was something in his calm posture, something unshakable. The millionaire's grin widened. You? Come on, kid. You probably can't even say hello in Mandarin. Marcus didn't react. He simply set his tray down carefully, took a few steps forward, and met the man's gaze. Would you like me to say it in Mandarin, he said softly, or Cantonese? The entire restaurant went silent. Even the air seemed to stop moving. The millionaire blinked, caught off guard. What did you just say? Marcus didn't answer. Instead, he smiled faintly, bowed his head slightly, and spoke, each syllable clear, smooth, and precise. Ni hao, Xianxing. Good evening, sir. Gasps filled the air. The piano player's hands dropped. A woman at a nearby table whispered, Did he just? The millionaire's confident smirk slowly melted away. And in that moment, everyone knew this wasn't going to be just a bet. It was about to become a lesson. You could have heard a pin drop. The entire restaurant froze as Marcus stood there, calm as still water. The millionaire blinked, his smirk fading into a mix of surprise and confusion. Wait, what did you just say? He asked again, louder this time, as if volume could help him understand. Marcus tilted his head slightly and repeated the phrase, this time slower, smoother, with a faint smile. Ni hao, Xianxing, he said again, his voice steady, respectful. It means hello, sir. For a moment, the man said nothing. Then he laughed. Too loud, trying to cover his embarrassment. All right, maybe you memorize a phrase off YouTube. That's cute. The guest chuckled nervously, unsure which side to take. But Marcus didn't seem bothered. He simply asked, Would you like your drink neat or on the rocks? This time, in flawless Cantonese. The laughter stopped instantly. One waiter dropped a tray in shock. The millionaire blinked again, speechless. What the, he whispered. Marcus didn't stop there. He switched languages again. Sake o namamesa ka? He asked softly, in perfect Japanese. Then, without missing a beat, he continued in Korean. Every person in the restaurant stared, mouths open, like they were watching a magic trick. A man near the bar whispered, How many languages does he know? By the time Marcus switched to French, Souhaitez-vous que verse votre whiskey, monsieur? The millionaire's face had turned red. His pride, once loud and shiny, now looked small under the warm restaurant lights. Marcus finally stopped, gave a polite smile, and said in English, You said 100,000, right? Want me to say thank you in 9 different ways, or is 4 enough? The restaurant erupted in soft laughter. Not mocking, admiring. People smiled at Marcus. Some clapped quietly. Others just stared in disbelief. The millionaire, still red-faced, muttered, You're not serious. You can't possibly. Marcus leaned closer, his voice steady but humble. I take language seriously, sir. It's how we connect. You use yours to insult people. I use mine to learn from them. The man's mouth opened, but no words came out. Marcus had spoken in 5 languages, but right then it was his silence that said the most. The millionaire slumped back in his chair, his confidence draining like wine from a cracked glass. He tried to laugh it off, but his voice came out shaky. You know what? Kid, you got me. That's impressive. He forced a smile, glancing at the crowd who now looked at Marcus with admiration. But tell me something, he said, his tone hardening again. Where does a waiter even learn all that? You don't look like some Harvard graduate. Marcus didn't flinch. He just smiled, that same calm, humble smile that everyone hooked. You're right, he said softly. I never went to Harvard. I went to the school of getting by. The crowd leaned in as he continued. When I was 16, Marcus said, I was mopping floors in an airport just to afford food for the week. I used to listen to passengers talk. To the words I didn't understand. Chinese, Japanese, German, Italian. I'd repeat every sound while scrubbing the tiles. I messed up 100 times before I got a single sentence right. But every time I did, I felt smarter, freer. The millionaire's smile faded completely. I saved money to buy secondhand language books. Marcus went on. No teachers, no fancy lessons. Just me, a dictionary, and the will to stop being invisible. His voice cracked slightly, but he didn't hide it. People laughed at me when I tried to speak. Some told me to stick to English. But now they asked me to translate their orders. The room was dead silent. You could almost feel the respect in the air. Even the millionaire's date, who had been quietly embarrassed the whole time, gave Marcus a proud smile. The millionaire cleared his throat, trying to regain his old composure. You could have taken the money, you know, he muttered. You earned it. Marcus shook his head. I didn't speak to earn your money, he said calmly. I spoke to remind you that you can't buy respect. You earn it through how you treat people. For the first time that evening, the rich man didn't know what to say. He just stared down at his untouched drink, realizing that his $100,000 challenge had turned into a $100,000 lesson. But Marcus wasn't finished. He took one step closer and asked a question that cut deeper than any insult ever could. Marcus looked at the man for a long, quiet moment. The laughter and whispers had faded. All that remained was the hum of silence. Then he asked, in a calm voice that carried more power than a shout ever could, Tell me something. Sir, if I spoke your language, the language of arrogance, would you still respect me? The millionaire froze. The question hit harder than any insult could. He looked down, fidgeting with his gold watch as if it could rewind the last 5 minutes. The people around him watched, waiting to see if his money could save him this time. It couldn't. Marcus didn't wait for an answer. He sighed softly and said, You came here tonight trying to prove that money can make you smarter than the rest of us. But money doesn't speak for you. Character does. His voice trembled just slightly, but that only made it more real. And tonight, your character said a lot. The millionaire's date stared at Marcus with admiration. She whispered, He's right. The man's jaw tightened, but he couldn't argue. He'd walked into that restaurant to show off power, and ended up being humbled by a waiter in a wrinkled uniform. Slowly, he reached for his checkbook, tore out a page, and placed it on the table. You earned this, he said, barely above a whisper. Marcus looked down at the check. $100, 000 written clearly in blue ink. But he didn't even touch it. I don't need your money, Marcus said gently. I already got what I came for. The man frowned. And what's that? Marcus smiled. Self-respect. Something you can't buy, no matter how rich you are. The crowd broke into applause. Quiet at first, then growing louder. Some guests even stood up. The millionaire just sat there, staring at the untouched check, realizing how small it looked compared to the moment. As Marcus turned to walk away, a woman near the bar whispered, That man just learned more from a waiter than from every dollar he's ever earned. Marcus glanced back once, his face calm, his eyes kind. We all speak different languages, he said softly, but respect is the only one everyone understands. He disappeared into the kitchen, leaving behind silence, awe, and one powerful question lingering in the air. How many more people like Marcus are out there, just waiting to be heard?